How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Hut 8 Mining Corp. If you guys remember, I was putting you up on these Canadian miners like Hut 8 and as well as HIVE before they got listed on the NASDAQ. We've seen they've reached some tremendous highs and they have pulled back a lot, more than 50%. But one of the things I want to make sure I bring across your radar, they do move alongside Bitcoin, so they come with a lot of volatility. So you got to be prepared for that. Have the stomach for that. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. I also put up a potential swing trade, but again, that is not financial advice. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information and as well as the recent institutional ownership. The reason the short interest is important because it has an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Hut 8 Mining Corp. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $6.62, being up 2.48%. On the low, it tested $6.30, and then on the high, testing $6.74. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 4.046 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 6.274 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, but we saw a lot of strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it is at 34.51. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 50-day, the 100-day, the 21-day EMA, and as well as the 200-day. So right away, what this tells us, Hut is in a bear market. So what you want to see in regards to reversal for it to start looking bullish again, you want to see it get back up to the 200-day, which is around $7.60, and then having it gain momentum from there, and then testing a resistance level right here at $8. But in the meantime, especially with the current conditions that we're in the market, we have fears about interest rates and a lot of stocks trading at high valuations. Don't be shocked if you see this stock testing around $6 in the near future. And that's one thing I want to make sure you guys are prepared for. And it could easily break through 6 and we can start seeing it inside the 5s. So if you're thinking about taking a position, this is something that you're going to want to consider. If you're looking for a swing trade, then I'd have a stop loss here right at this $6 level, and I would try to get in as close to a $6 as possible. We saw that it test $6.30 on the day, so this could be a possible entry again if you are considering it. And then you could see if you could ride that momentum here to $7, where it does show to have some resistance, which we've seen on the 2 trading days prior, and also right over here back on the 7th of January, and as well as for the 6th. So that is a strategy that you can use, and then you could see if you could ride that momentum up, and like I said, reclaim that 200 or the 21-day EMA at 765. So continue to keep an eye on this, and if you want to go long term, I would use a dollar cost averaging approach. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Hut 8 Mining. So as we scroll down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we see from recent filings we have for this year, January the 14th, we have Stratos Wealth Partners that purchased 12,500 shares. We also have Koshinki Asset Management that purchased 246 shares. And then we also have Wedbush Securities that purchased 23,411 shares. And you have Saquon Capital SAS that purchased 6,400 shares. And then for January the 4th, we have S.A. Mason LLC that purchased 1,200 shares. So we can see institutions have been loading up. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, The dark pool short volume ratio is at 35%, and then for the dark pool short volume, it is around 604,835 shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 950,000, updated 4 minutes ago, and then for the short bar fee rate, it is at 4.89%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for the close of January the 13th, it's at 37.56, and then for the close of the 14th, it is at 35. So one thing that is very clear, HUT does have short squeeze potential. The criteria we normally look for is 21% or higher, and this is why you see a lot of volatility in the stock, and it also is tied to Bitcoin's price action as well. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you don't know already. So now let's go into the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for HUT 8. So we can see here for the inflow it's at 4,745, and then on the outflow it's at 4,137. So we ended up having an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 3,272. And then on the small, it was 1,472. When we take a look at the outflow side, it was 0 on the large. On the medium, it was 2,995. And then on the small, it was 1,142. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see we had 0 for January the 14th, so the Friday that is past. We also had 0 on the 13th. We did have an outflow day on the 12th, but we had an inflow day on the 11th, and then we had 0 on the 10th. When we analyze the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And of course, for the large, which potentially could represent institutions and funds, we had 0 for both. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 2.42%. And you know what? This is not too bad. And the reason being is this is a stock that moves alongside with Bitcoin. And we know there comes a lot of speculation and a lot of volatility. But one thing that is very clear, there are still many who are holding on to their positions. So if you are thinking about taking a position, I'd highly suggest taking a dollar cost averaging approach. And when you do get those run-ups, like I said in my previous videos, when you're in cryptocurrency type of stocks, get out your original investment and add when you get those dips. Because again, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, these plays will run alongside with it. So let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for HUT 8 Mining Corp in regards to the price action, if you're looking for a quick swing trade idea, then of course I would say setting up a stop loss right at $6. And then what you want to do, you want to see if you could ride this momentum up to $7 plus. Most preferably, I'd want to see it get to around $7.60. And if that momentum continues, it could really start taking off from there. But you have to understand it does run alongside with Bitcoin. And if you look at the Bitcoin chart and you compare it to the HUT 8 chart, it is very similar. So this is a great way if you want to have exposure to Bitcoin, but you don't want to buy the actual cryptocurrency itself, then hey, you could pick up some HUT 8 stock. But you also have to keep in mind the stock is exposed to what goes down inside of the overall stock market. And I know you guys have seen Bitcoin has pulled back and a lot of Bitcoin stocks have pulled back with it. But we also have to compound the fact of interest rates and economic conditions, which could impact the stock market. So again, make that decision for yourself whether you want to buy the actual coin or whether you want to be in the actual stock. When we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does have short squeeze potential. It's still over the criteria of 21% or higher when it comes to the short volume. And we also do see, as far as institutions are concerned, they have bought up shares. So one of the things I want you guys to pay attention to is doing your homework and as well as your due diligence. If you're going to be inside of this play, you got to have some sort of an idea of how the cryptocurrency market works as a whole. Do not buy this stock if you have no idea how crypto moves or you have no interest in following Bitcoin. I feel that is very irresponsible. And when you get those strong pops and so on, if you want to be able to take some profits, take some profits. But at the same time, you can't be angry if you see the stock pop up and then it pulls back going below your average cost. You have to pay attention to the investment. And some some cases, some people will treat this as a trade. They don't want to be in it that long. So that's why you want to make sure you have a solid swing trade strategy if you're going to be in this play. And if you are a long-term investor, and if you knew about this stock when I first talked about it before it even got on the NASDAQ, you'd have been able to build out a position at around $4. So let's say it went to $16. Yes, you didn't take any profits. What I would do, I would just wait and see if it pulls back near to where your average cost is at. And when Bitcoin makes that run, because I do see it getting to 100K, this stock will move alongside with it, and you'll be able to reap even more gains and be able to be in at a solid cost. No reason to average up while the stock is pulling back. It is still in a bear market, just like Bitcoin, and we're just waiting for this thing to reverse. Another thing to take into consideration as well, they do have earnings that's going to be coming out on March the 8th. So if you are an investor, you want to keep a close eye on this, and if things do look positive, I can see this helping the stock a lot. So overall, if you're going to be buying any type of crypto mining stock, just make sure whatever stock that you choose, there's a solid business behind it, and as far as this price action, it's running similar to Bitcoin. If it's running to the opposite and you're seeing that it has larger pullbacks, then of course you need to be concerned. There could be an issue with the actual company behind the stock, and those are the ones that you need to avoid. Perfect example of that is the SOS, the EBON. Yes, I used to like these plays, but again, when you start seeing what the business is doing, you kind of say, well, you know what? I'm going to move my funds over. And that's exactly what I did. And this is why I love being an owner of Hut and as well as Hive. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.